The 60-year-old who stole Fazza's heart. My name is Sheikh Hamdan Fazza. In the glittering heart of Dubai, where every secret hides behind gold and glass, whispers had begun to spread. Whispers that even the royal guards couldn't silence. Sheikh Hamdan, Crown Prince of Dubai, the man known for his poetry, adventure, and magnetic charm, was said to have fallen in love. But not with a princess, model, or influencer. The world was stunned when rumors surfaced that the mysterious woman who had captured his heart was a 60-year-old artist from Europe. Her name was Elena, a French painter who had spent decades traveling the world, capturing emotions through colors instead of words. She was elegant, wise, and carried the quiet sadness of someone who had seen too much of life. Her silver hair framed a face that time had touched gently, and her eyes, calm and deep, seemed to understand pain, love, and loss all at once. It began quietly. Elena had been invited to Dubai for an international art exhibition, showcasing her collection titled The Colors of Time. The event was hosted by none other than Sheikh Hamdan himself, an admirer of poetry, photography, and all forms of art. When he entered the gallery that evening, surrounded by dignitaries and cameras, his eyes fell on a single painting, a desert under a twilight sky, where the dunes seemed to weep under the moonlight. "What emotion is this?" he asked softly. Elena turned to him, surprised. "It's the silence after a goodbye," she said, her voice steady yet filled with something unspoken. From that moment, the world around them blurred. They began to talk, not about titles or fame, but about solitude, faith, and the meaning of love in a life full of expectations. Hamdan found himself drawn to her wisdom. She, in turn, saw in him a rare kind of purity, a heart untouched by the cynicism of power. Days turned into weeks. The prince invited her to private royal gardens to paint the sunrise. He would watch as she painted quietly, her brush dancing with patience and grace. Rumors began to swirl. A royal car seen near her villa, secret poetry shared on Hamdan's Instagram, words about timeless love, about finding peace in someone who carries history in her eyes. The Dubai elite were stunned. "A 60-year-old woman?" whispered the courtiers. "He could have anyone, why her?" But Hamdan didn't care. In Elena, he found something his world had never offered him: truth. She didn't care for wealth or power. When he spoke, she listened to his soul, not his title. Yet love in the royal world is never simple. Soon, the palace began to tighten its silence. Officials denied the rumors while tabloids exploded with stories. Some called it scandalous, others called it poetic. But one night, under the dim lights of the royal marina, Hamdan himself was seen walking with Elena, her hand resting gently in his. "People won't understand," she said quietly. "They don't have to," he replied. "Only my heart needs to." The days that followed their secret meeting at the marina were filled with both beauty and danger. For Sheikh Hamdan, every hour spent with Elena was a breath of peace. But every whisper that reached the palace walls was a reminder that love, in his world, was never private. Dubai's skyline shimmered with gossip. Newspapers from London to New York printed headlines like, "Royal Romance or Forbidden Affair," and "Who is the woman behind Fazza's smile?" The royal media office released a statement denying all rumors, calling them fabricated tales. But those who knew the prince closely saw a quiet fire in his eyes, A man unbothered by scandal yet burdened by truth. Elena, on the other hand, retreated into silence. Her small art studio, once open to guests and journalists, now stayed locked. The colors on her canvas grew darker, shadows replacing the golden hues she once loved. When Hamdan visited, he found her sitting by the window, looking at the Arabian Sea. "Do you regret it?" he asked softly. She smiled faintly, her eyes glistening. "How can I regret meeting the one soul who saw me beyond my age?" Her words pierced him deeper than any crown ever could. But Hamdan knew the cost of such love. The royal family had begun to pressure him, not through orders, but through silence. Invitations to state dinners no longer bore his name. His advisors whispered about reputation, tradition, and the expectations of the people. "You are the future ruler," one minister warned him. "The nation watches you. You cannot love a woman who belongs to another generation." Hamdan replied with calm defiance. Love has no generation, it has a heartbeat. But behind that strength he was torn. He loved Elena with a sincerity that frightened him. Yet he feared the storm gathering above them. To love her meant to stand against the golden cage he was born into. Then came the breaking point. One evening, Elena received a private letter sealed with the royal crest. Inside was a simple message. "For your own peace and his, you must leave Dubai before dawn." Tears welled in her eyes as she held the letter. She knew this moment would come, yet it still shattered her. That night, Hamdan came to her villa one last time. The air was heavy with unspoken pain. "They've decided for me," she whispered. "But my heart, it refuses to listen." He took her trembling hands in his. "They can decide where we live, but not who we love." She shook her head. "You have a destiny, Hamdan. The world needs your light. Don't let it fade for me." He looked at her for a long moment, his voice breaking. "You are that light." As dawn painted the sky with gold, a private jet lifted quietly from the Dubai runway. Inside, Elena watched the city fade beneath the clouds. She pressed a small envelope into the flight attendant's hand. "Give this to him," she said. Inside the envelope was a letter and a tiny sketch. The desert beneath a starry sky, two figures walking together. Beneath it, her. Years passed. The world moved on, as it always does, forgetting the stories it once whispered with such hunger. The newspapers that had called it a royal scandal now filled their pages with newer names, fresher dramas. But in one quiet corner of Dubai, a prince still carried the memory of a woman who had changed his soul. Sheikh Hamdan had grown quieter with time. His adventures became fewer, his poems deeper. The public still adored him. His words about life and love drew millions, but those closest to him noticed something different. There was always a trace of sorrow in his smile, as if a piece of him had remained somewhere far away, in a world that no one else could see. Every year, on the same night she left, Hamdan would visit the desert alone. He never spoke about her, not even to his most trusted friends. But he always carried one small object, a folded sketch of two figures walking beneath the stars. Elena's final gift. Then, one winter morning, nearly 7 years after her departure, an unexpected package arrived at the royal palace. There was no sender's name, only an address from Paris. Inside was a sealed wooden box and a letter written in graceful handwriting. The letter began, "To His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, This belonged to someone who spoke of you often, not as a prince, but as a man who understood eternity. Hamdan's hands trembled as he opened the box. Inside lay a single painting, Elena's last masterpiece. It showed the Dubai desert under a dawn sky, a lone rider on horseback gazing toward the horizon. The strokes were tender, almost spiritual. In the lower corner, faint but visible, were her initials, EM. He didn't move for a long time. Then, under the dim palace light, he whispered, "You kept your promise." Attached to the back of the painting was a second envelope. He opened it carefully, afraid even to breathe too hard on the fragile paper. It read, "My beloved Hamdan, if you are reading this, it means my time has ended. I have painted you as I always saw you, not as a ruler, but as a man searching for light. Do not mourn me. I lived my final years in peace, knowing that for a moment in this vast life I was truly loved. Some love stories are not written in time, they are written in souls. Ours will live there forever." The letter ended with a single verse of poetry, written in Arabic, the same words he had once whispered to her. In the royal gardens, love is not bound by years, it is bound by truth. That evening, Hamdan personally arranged for the painting to be displayed in a private wing of the Dubai Art Museum. No plaque, no explanation, just a title beneath it. "The Woman Who Painted Silence." Visitors who passed by often paused, drawn by the sadness in the colors, unaware that the man in the painting was their own crown prince. One night, during a private royal event, Hamdan stood before the painting alone. "You taught me what it means to love without possession,"